just like the diagonal, except it's woven from the center to the left and center to the right versus just straight left to right. Finger weaving doesn't really take that many supplies, but you will need a few things. First off, you'll need your yarn. You will need a pair of scissors, a tape measure or a yardstick, a dowel rod or pencil, something to secure your yarn to, and then you'll need just something that you can attach that dowel rod to hold your yarn as you weave. Optionally, to hold your finger weaving, you can just use a pillow and a large safety pin to pin your yarn. Some painter's tape or masking tape, any of these things will work. For the chevron, I loaded this head stick from the center of the strands. The chevron, along with a couple other patterns, creates a eye or a center pattern, and so you want to be sure and load your yarn onto approximately the center of the yarn onto the head stick, so you have that nice that eye in the middle. So you want to be sure and tie your knot or measure whatever, so that when you are loading it on the stick, you're in the center of your cut strands. When I load this one on the head stick versus a diagonal is I have mirror images of my yarn, and when I got to the center, when I've done half of the middle color or the gray here, it's a bottom strand. It comes from behind the head stick. So I want to do the next one also from the bottom of the stick. I want to have the two center ones coming from the same direction, and then I continue my over under just like I did before. But you want to put two of them next to each other right in the center. That just helps when we go to weave to the other side from where we were. It puts that warp thread in the right position. So we're going to start from the center, and we're going to divide out. So I have 3 of each color on the top and 3 of each color on the bottom on each side. In this case, I have 36 strands. So I have 6 green, 6 yellow, 6 gray, and then 6 gray, 6 yellow, 6 green. And so we're going to start. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the first strand from the center of the left, and I'm going to weave it to the right. But I'm going to go over 2 of them. So I'm going to go over that other middle one, and I'm going to go over the, I'll take that back. I'm going to weave it under the one it's next to, and then I'm going to go over the top and then under the next bottom, and just like a diagonal, we're going to just weave it over and under all the way across. So let's get across. Okay, so then when I get across, it's going to sit out just like on the diagonal pattern, and then we're going to come back to the center. I'm going to put our finger back in there, and the center one should now have 2 coming from above the stick or the weft going to the other side, and then we're just going to go over that one and then under and cross over. That's all we're going to do. That's the only difference between is we're just taking that first strand. If we're going weaving to the left, we take the first strand to the right. If we're weaving to the right, we take the first strand to the left of center. And so when it gets out, it's going to sit out over here. So then we're going to go back to the center for our next row. And again, like we did first, both of our strands are on the bottom. So anytime you're weaving to the right, you're going to have a bottom strand that you're going to move over. So it's just going to go under that other bottom one over the top, and we're going to move that one across. The reason that when we lay out or load the yarn on the head stick that I have 2 pieces in the center that are both from the top or both from the bottom is so that you get a nice sharp point right in the middle where you are weaving, and it's not kind of tilted or cockeyed off to one side or the other. And just by doing that, starting them both from the same top or bottom warp strand will make that point be straight down right in the middle. Okay, so again, back to the center. We're going to weave the other direction this time. And both of the center two are on the top. So we're going to take a top one. It's going to go over the left top one and move to the left. Just over, under, over, under. Again, on this side, when it gets to the end, the last one on the end is on the top. So your previous weft is going to drop in behind and your new weft is going to sit out. Okay, and then back to the center again. They're both on the bottom. So take the first strand from the left on the bottom, go under that one on the bottom, and then over the top. Get all the way across. All right, so we're going to mount this up on, if you had this attached to a table or something with the head stick, then you could kind of wrap this back around so that you have it still attached to your head stick. Since I'm using an embroidery stand, I don't mess with the head stick again. I'll just tie it to my embroidery stand. All right, so then I've got to go through and I've got to kind of lay these out. They've been wrapped around the head stick, and so I need to make them flat again, and I need to find that shed from the original wefts that created the shed. So I'm going to just kind of pick these apart one by one and go through. And if it was under the weft, it's going to go under my finger. If it was over the weft, it's going to go over, so that I have a clear and open shed. Okay, it's going to get a little tricky right here in the center, so you're going to have to watch which direction the strands are coming from, and you just want to be sure and keep them in that same order, so that your project doesn't come unwoven in the middle. So it might take a little practice kind of checking that out. So go slow and make sure you know where that strand is coming from right there in the center. The edges are okay usually. It's usually just that very center. And so, all right. So I have my sheds open. You can see here I've got my wefts as they're coming across, and I'm ready to weave again. And those wefts are going to kind of drift around till you get that first set of wefts coming from the middle, weaving on this direction. So that center is kind of tricky. You just kind of have to take it slow, follow those strands to make sure you have them in the right place. And again, we're going to start from the center and weave to the left and weave to the right. So I've got my two center ones are on the top. So we're just going to take this first one, and it's going to go under that other weft coming from the other side, and then under or over the next one. And so you're just going to weave again, over, under, over, under. Oops, and that one's fallen out of place, which is very easy to do when you're turning it around. So you kind of have to make sure they're in the right So you may have to kind of play with them a little, get them back into their right spot. Okay, because they don't want to lay in. You've taken the head stick out, so you know they're kind of running wild, and you've got to find. Okay, so that one goes over that one and under that one, and over that one and under. So it's the same over, under, over, under. Once you get all those little center ones back into where they belong. And after you get that first row, then it's a lot easier. When you first turn it, you've got those two wefts. The first wefts from the other direction are just kind of hanging out, and they're not tied down to anything, so they kind of float around. So you just have to kind of find. Okay, there's my center. You have to just kind of find that center and where they go again. We're just going to weave over, under, over, under. Then you just keep weaving, just like you did the other side. You're just going to keep weaving from the center out till you get the desired length of your project.